So I've been collecting now for the better part of 3 years since starting the channel, and in that time I have picked up some questionable games. I've done a video recently there highlighting the 5 worst games that I have in my collection, so I thought it was time for a follow-up. So I've asked a few people to join in and tell us what the worst game in their collections are. So, let's have a look. Hi guys, Graham here, so welcome back to the channel. So the worst game that I have in my collection is probably the worst game that was ever made. I'm yet to find a game worse than this. This game looks like shit, it handles like shit, it plays like shit, it just radiates shit. And that game is Carmageddon on the N64. So this is a port of Carmageddon 2, which was released on the PC in 1998. This hunky shit was fired out diaretically in the year 2000. It was developed by Software Creations and was due to be published by Interplay, but was published instead by Titus Interactive. The UK version here has zombies instead of humans, because you can't kill humans over here, and in Germany they have dinosaurs. The PC version had 3 difficulty levels, whereas this one only has 1. And it's absolute fucking trash. Absolute fucking garbage. IGN gave this game a 1.3 out of 10, calling it a ridiculously poor software farted out as a quick, sloppy port, and even went as far to say that it was worse than Superman 64, which I would highly fucking agree. This game just fucking flies all over the place. Jesus Christ, I'm swearing off this game is going to be so fucking pissed off. GameSpot gave the game a 2.1 out of 10, stating that Carmageddon has absolutely nothing gone for it, and they're absolutely fucking right. This game is absolute fucking garbage, and I guarantee I'm going to be the one swearing the most in this video, if not the only one, because everybody else is, you know, well behaved. This game is so bad it's not even listed on Metacritic, so that's fucking saying something. Like I says, the game looks shit, it plays like shit, the cars handle like shit. Running over zombies, I suppose, is good, but when you have to run over like 100 of them, that's the whole objective of the game, is to basically wreak havoc on the zombie population, and that's it. You just need to drive out the place, and that's fucking it. Like, you can pick between 2 characters, Max Carnage and Diana. Did you get it? Did you get it? Fuck's sake. And there's 3 tracks you can choose for, but they're all pretty much the same fucking city. This game is so bugged and just so garbage that I tried capturing gameplay footage for it and about lost my shit and launched the game at the window. So, in conclusion, the worst game in my collection is most definitely Carmageddon on the N64.
So this is not going to go down well at all. But the worst game in my collection is Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, don't hate. Hear me out. So the point of this is the worst game in our collection, right? This is my opinion, and I'm sorry if this comes across like I'm hating on probably one of your favorite games who's watching this item. But for me, Breath of the Wild just didn't hit it. I'm not exactly the biggest Zelda fan in the world, granted, but I've played other Zelda games, and I enjoyed other Zelda games. The stories that they told were amazing, and that is probably why I didn't enjoy Breath of the Wild, because there was no story, or at least from what I played. There were little memories here and there that you could kind of class as a story, but it wasn't really a story, was it? One of the other main things as well of why I didn't really like the game was the mechanics in the game. The fact that you create these different weapons and then they break. The durability was just garbage. And I didn't really rate that either. And then there was, you know, the fact that you get out of breath climbing things, you know. Maybe that's why they called it Breath of the Wild.
Hey, I made a funny.
But yeah, as much as I'm sure a lot of you are gonna hate on this and say, oh, how dare you speak about that Zelda game like that?
Get a load of this guy.
I can't. I couldn't really put myself through it, and my time is limited. I enjoy playing video games for the stories. I enjoy immersing myself in that world. But this world was just vast. There wasn't really much to it. And I thought maybe I was being a bit harsh on it the first time around. But following that, didn't really wash either. I couldn't do it a second time around, so I'm sorry, but I'm also not sorry.
So I was asked, what's the worst game in my collection? Didn't really have to give it any thought. Pokemon Legends Arceus. Horrible game. Can't stand it. I love Pokemon. Really love Pokemon. I've been playing them since Red, Blue, Yellow, all that. I've been there for the start of the series. I've never been one to want to collect every single Pokemon, and Arceus kind of turned that into a chore. Like, you had to do it. There's a lot of things that I really enjoyed, as in the battling mechanics, running around the open little areas. That was great. I just hate the fact that you had to do, catch 10 of one and 20 of the other, or find so many different shiny Pokemon. It's like, that's not for me. It's not a game that I really enjoyed. And I say that I don't like grindy stuff, but then again, what's Pokemon but a, mash the A button simulator. But anyway, that is the worst game in my collection. Again, Pokemon Legends Arceus. If you like it, I'm sorry. If you hate it, hey.
So, I was asked, what's the worst game that I have ever played? Well, it's one that I actually do own. That would have to be Bebe's Kids for the Super Nintendo. Based off of obscure animation from the 90s, and it's a beat-em-up game. It takes roughly about a half hour to beat the first two enemies, and that's just because the game controls like absolute crap. It's terrible. Speedruns are hysterical because it's also gay. Just avoid it unless you want a very, very good laugh.
Just wanted to say there's a lot of you that are watching these videos right now that aren't subscribed, so if you could go over and give us a subscribe, that would be great. Thanks very much, guys.
Hello! Thank you to Graham and James for having me on, talking about the worst game in my collection. Now, usually if a game that I have is rubbish, I will get rid of it. However, there is one which has managed to stay in the collection somehow, and that game is Duke Nukem Forever. So back in 2011, we were graced with this utter pile of for the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. The game follows the titular Duke Nukem through his, I don't want to say adventures because they're not really adventures. There's an alien invasion or some rubbish. The game was in development hell, and it shows with this game. And look there, it says Insane Genius. I don't think so. There is utterly no defining features with this game. There is no fun to be had with it. It is just generally so bad. And yes, I am rubbish at FPS games, but even still, this game is horrendous. So, you know what I'll say now? Don't get it played. Just don't.
Hey everyone, I'm the Unseen Gamer, and I am a streamer over on Twitch. The fine folks over at Ting have asked those of us within the community to talk about the worst games in our respective collections. For my game, I chose Ring Fit Adventure. Because, let's be real, who wants a video game tricking them into becoming more fit? It's like those video games that try and teach you math. Nobody wants it. But now, in all seriousness, and this might be an unpopular opinion, the game that I chose, which by no means is the worst game in my collection, but probably left me with the most disappointment, is Pokemon Sword and Shield. As someone who is a massive Pokemon fan and totally understands that generally there isn't much challenge in the games to begin with, Pokemon Sword and Shield was extremely underwhelming. At first, I'll admit that I was taken in by the overworld, and it might actually be one of my favorites to date. But the immense lack of challenge, paired with very little content, and the overall length of the game being very short, made for a very lackluster experience. It's a fine example of a really cool concept, but with poor execution. That being said, that's just my 2 cents. Take it as you will. Cheers.
Hey gang, thanks for having me. Now, since I've grabbed a Steam Deck recently, I've got to say, it's allowed me to explore my library of games that I've owned for almost a decade now. And it's reminded me I've bought a lot of dumb and stupid games that just don't make any sense. And specifically, one title that I remember that I just thought was total garbage was Euro Truck Simulator. You hate your life enough? You want to simulate something different? Well, by God, this is the game for you. If you've ever wanted to parallel park, reverse, or just drive a big rig for absolutely no reason, there's nothing wrong with driving a big rig in real life, but like, why? You tell me.
Hey guys, Marky Fluffy Bunch here. Variety content creator on TikTok as well as variety streamer on Twitch. What I want to talk with you today about is this box copy of Top Gun Second Mission. This is by far, in my opinion, the worst possible game in my collection. And I don't even know why I have it boxed. The primary reason why it's the worst is it's one of those games that you won't even make it past the first level the majority of the time, because you have to land your jet perfectly on a carrier, and the controls are so finicky, it'll constantly just be up, up, down, down, slow, down, speed up, and then crash.
So those were our worst games, and tell you what, there are some stinkers in there. But let us know down below what your worst games are in your collection, because I would love to hear. Don't forget, if you're not subscribed, give us a little, hit that little subscribe button down there. It absolutely means the world to us. We hope you enjoyed this video, and there's a lot more stuff coming out soon, so keep your eye open. Catch you next time.